Recently, I've been trying out some different builds inside of the Crucible, and I think I may have accidentally stumbled upon one of my favorite builds of all time. It all started when I landed this 5 out of 5 god roll on my SHREDS Wrath the other weekend in Trials. The roll on this thing is absolutely nuts. I got full bore, accurized rounds, dynamic sway reduction, and harmony. Now all of this pairs amazingly with the new Alacrity origin trait, and it makes the weapon better than ever. We got a range masterwork and we're using Adept Icarus on this. We have 99 range, which gives us basically max range possible on the SHREDS Wrath. So I wanted to put together a build to really get the most out of this, and a buddy of mine recommended that I try out the Peacekeepers on my Titan again, just for fun. And it ended up turning into an absolutely insane build. Now it is a little unique because it does require you to use a double primary loadout. You're really going to want to use 2 SMGs to get the most out of this. And I really wanted to take it to the next level and turn it into an absolute steamroller of a build. Now all of these clips were captured over on my Twitch channel, so if you guys want to come by, drop a follow on the channel. I'd love to see you over there while we're streaming. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, leave a like down below, smash that subscribe button. Let's get right into the build and take a look at it because it's so much fun and I really think you should give it a shot for yourself. Now, like I mentioned, we're going to be using the Peacekeepers exotic for Titans in this build. The Peacekeepers have the perk Mecha Holster. This reloads your stowed submachine guns and allows you to ready them instantly. It improves your handling with SMGs and your movement while wielding one. So your jump and your slide is going to be improved as well. Whenever you have an SMG in your hands, you can swap between them instantly. It's like having maximum handling, quick draw, and threat detector going all the time between both of your weapons. It's amazing. You can always swap between them and they will always be loaded and ready to go. Now, along the same lines of using harmony on our SHREDS Wrath, I really wanted to make the other weapon also have harmony so that every time we get a kill with one of these SMGs, we can swap to the other one. We have harmony ready to go and we're ready to melt whatever's in front of us. Now I got really lucky and I actually landed my final crafting pattern for the Submachine SMG from the raid. I took some time to level this up because it also has harmony available as one of the perks. Now this is a 900 round per minute SMG, which makes it a higher rate of fire than SHREDS Wrath. I'm going to explain the reasoning behind that in a minute and why it pairs so well for that double primary loadout. The other unique thing about Submachine is that it has this raid perk, Sleight of Hand. Final blows with weapons or abilities while this weapon is stowed increase its handling, stability, and reload speed for a short duration. So that plays perfectly into the build. Every time we get a kill with SHREDS, we swap back to Submachine, we have Sleight of Hand and Harmony procced, and we're ready to beam anyone in front of us with this absolute beast of a little SMG. Now the reason we're using a 900 round SMG and a 600 round SMG is so that we have a weapon that can handle different engagement distances. Now obviously we're not going to be taking duels at 40 meters with this build, but depending on where we're going, if we're real close quarters, if someone's pushing us, we can swap to Submachine and melt them with that high rate of fire. Or if we need a little more range on our fight, we can use the SHREDS Wrath to really hit that 30-meter range with this max range SHREDS. Now I want to take a look at the subclass we're using. We are pairing this with Void 3.0 to really take it to the next level. Now we're going to be using Ward of Dawn naturally. This is the bubble. This is going to give us Weapons of Light, which is just another source of increased damage for both of our SMGs, helping us steamroll Guardians even easier in the Crucible. We're going to be using Towering Barricade. I prefer using Strafe Lift as my movement ability. For the melee, I was kind of going back and forth between the two of these. Shield Bash can be really good for closing the distance. It's a great movement tool, and it also suppresses enemy Guardians. You can knock people out of their super with this if you time it right, but you have to be careful not to overextend. You can get yourself killed really easily if you get stuck in that animation. The shield throw is really great for places like 6s. You can bounce this off multiple Guardians. You're going to get some overshield off of each hit, and it's a really fun, unique option. I really prefer it over Shield Bash. I just think it's more fun, sort of plays into the fantasy of the Sentinel Titan, but that might just be me. For the grenade, I am using Vortex Grenade. Feel free to use whatever you want here. You could use Suppressor Grenade. If you want to go all in on those suppressions, feel free to do so. For the aspects, we're using Controlled Demolition. This is going to make it so hitting a target with a void ability or volatile explosion will make them volatile. So anytime we hit someone with our shield throw or our grenade, they will become volatile. It will make it even easier to clean them up with one of our SMGs. And then we will also be using Bastion, which makes it so whenever we drop our barricade, it's going to give us an overshield. It's going to make it so we can push engagements a lot easier. We have a little added protection because we are using a double primary loadout here. We don't have a one-shot weapon with us, so we need all the protection that we can get. For the fragments, I'm using Echo of Persistence. This makes it so void buffs last longer, so our overshield will have an increased duration. We're going to use Echo of Leeching, which makes it so melee final blows will start health regeneration for you and nearby allies. This is very helpful for when you're finishing off an engagement with a melee. This is going to proc your health regen. You can swap to your other weapon. You have Harmony going, you get your health regen. That way you never have to stop to catch your breath. You can just keep moving and keep chaining kills. And finally, we'll use Echo of Remnants, which is going to make our grenade last longer. With the Vortex grenade, that's going to make it so we can lock down an area for a longer amount of time. Now, I do want to go over some of the mods that we're pairing with this build because we can take it just a little bit further. The first mod we're going to use here is Swift Charge. Now, this is a 5-cost arc energy mod, but it makes it so we become charged with light by rapidly defeating combatants with pulse rifles, sidearms, or SMGs. Now, in the Crucible, the rapidly defeating combatants is very loose. As long as you get 4 kills, if you can go on a decent streak in a semi-quick amount of time, you will be able to proc this mod and get charged with light. Now you can see I'm using this on my legs, and that's for a reason. We're not going to be using a scavenger mod because we're not using a special weapon with this build, so we have room for this Swift Charge mod here on our legs. You can put it anywhere, but I find it most useful on the leg slot here. To pair with that, we are going to use stacks on stacks, which makes it so every time we get charged with light, we get an additional stack. So we'll get 2 stacks of charge with light every time we proc Swift Charge, and we'll be using high energy fire, of course, to round it all out. That's going to give us increased damage on our weapons, so we'll either have Harmony or high energy fire or weapons of light going at almost all times, so we constantly have a damage buff on one of our SMGs. I am using double utility kickstart to help reduce the cooldown of our barricade so we can have that overshield as often as possible as well. Beyond that, I just spec into my SMG. I'm using double SMG targeting, SMG loader, and unflinching SMG aim to really make those weapons feel as crispy as possible. I do recommend also using Radiant Light if you can for the free 20 strength. I don't recommend using Powerful Friends because we actually don't want mobility on our Titan. If we're using strafe lift and skating around the map, the lower our mobility, the faster we can actually move. So you want to avoid as much mobility as you can and try to keep that low. You can see I'm only around 3 mobility. As far as your stats, definitely aim for 100 recovery. That's just going to help you move from engagement to engagement. I would recommend speccing a little bit into intellect for this build. Ward of Dawn has one of the fastest super cooldowns in the game. You can get your super really fast if you spec into intellect. I'd recommend at least 6 intellect. You could go with 7's not bad. And then whatever else you want to do is totally up to you. I would maybe recommend some resilience so you can reduce the cooldown on your overshield barricade. But that's going to do it for the build, guys. You can go on some insane streaks with this loadout. It does take some adjustment using a double primary loadout. It's different than your traditional primary special type loadout. We're using 2 primary weapons. Really have to learn your engagement distances, and that's why we're using those 2 different SMGs. We have one for really close range engagements and one when we need to push out and fight at like 30-meter distance. SHREDS is perfect for that. Thank you guys for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, again, do me a favor, leave a like down below, smash that subscribe button, and come follow me over on Twitch. I'd love to see you over there. The community we're building over there is great, playing games together all the time. So be sure to come say hey, and I will catch you guys in the next one.